Hey everybody, welcome back to another anime review. Tonight we're talking about My Next Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom, or Otome Game as people are calling it. Or Villainess. Uh, Villainess is kind of what I remember it as in my head. But this was an interesting series recommended to me by one of my patrons, my very first patron, in fact, Nia-chan. So Nia-chan, this is for you. I do want to thank you up front for recommending me this show. So that should tell you a little bit about what I thought about it. So spoiler, I guess. But this is a series that just aired this last season from Silverlink. Um, that is essentially about a girl that gets reincarnated into this otome game, but not as like the main character, not as the girl that people would usually root for. She is the person that ends up with the quote unquote the bad ending. She is sort of the villainess of this world, the one that isn't supposed to get all of the benefits, that isn't supposed to get the boys' attention, that isn't supposed to get rewarded for her actions and stuff like that. She either her destiny, her doom flags as they call them, are either being exiled, so like sent out on a boat somewhere away from the kingdom, or dying. So two things you probably don't want to happen. And our main character's name is Katarina Kleis, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Um, and her like this continuous struggle of trying to keep this sort of like noble life and trying to sort of sort of like establish herself really as surviving sort of like in this game. And of course, her biggest hurdle is herself. This is a pretty comedic series. Uh, she is often described by everybody as being very dense, and that is very accurate. She's, not. I don't want to say like incredibly stupid, because she isn't. But she's very oblivious. Katarina is a very oblivious character. She's very funny. One thing that the animation studio got right with this was has a bunch of really funny facial expressions and reactions and stuff like that. Um, uh, but she is sort of oblivious to a lot of the stuff going on around her, and a lot of the charm of the show is the fact that while she is trying to, not be exiled and everything, she is slowly sort of taking over the main girl role in this game world, and she's sort of stepping into like the territory of like what would happen with other characters, and basically, long story short, making everybody and like almost everybody fall in love with her. Many other characters in this series have bonds with her. I like her as a character, not only for the comedy aspect of it, but because she also like is pretty helpful to the people around her a lot of the time. She has like conversations with people where they kind of open up about themselves and stuff like that and events that they've gone through. And while these are like noble sort of people, they don't all have necessarily like the nicest backstories and stuff like that. Sometimes they're like a stepbrother, and they're sort of like looked at differently by their family or something like that. Sometimes they have like magic exists in this world, and sometimes they have this magical gift that they're scared of really using because they don't necessarily have full control of it yet. It makes them feel sort of like different, alienated. Katarina sort of helps with these sort of issues, and while being this sort of like good person, the very opposite of a villainess, she these are from these like in-game characters, she gets the affection, and she slowly but surely builds the affection of pretty much like most of the other characters in the series. And they're sort of varied. Like there's some that are more interesting than others. One that I really liked was Mary. Is this it's another female character that grows feelings for Katarina. They don't spoil too much about the show because it's relatively short. It's like 12 episodes long. but I like the connection that Mary and Katarina do have. I don't know. I think their route would be cool together. I think it's kind of funny how like Mary sort of wants Katarina to herself. And you know, there's humor to this series. There is an interesting aspect of sort of like magic that is sort of dug into a little bit about how people have these like elemental magic type things. They can move like little earth things, or they have like a water magic ability. And it was interesting. I know nothing really about Otome games. Knew nothing really going in. It's interesting enough that this was also done by Silverlink, who I believe also did Watamode. And Watamode is an anime that I really, really love. And this gave me some vibes of that. Obviously, very, very different of a show. Like Katarina and Tomoko from Watamode. This is my, when I have to flex my Tomoko figure from Japan, by the way, from Akihabara. That's a flex and a half right there. Tomoko, one of my favorite characters in anime from Watamode, where she is just completely unable to sort of connect with society despite thinking that she's incredibly popular. So that obliviousness of like that character and comparing that to Katarina, it made me laugh. Like it made me remember times from that previous series, and it's not like it really detracted from this show. I thought this show was entertaining. I did like personally. I would rather watch Watamode. I think Watamode is more consistently entertaining than this one. This one kind of got. If there's anything I didn't like about it, it's sort of. I don't know if repetitive is the best word, but it's just kind of like I felt like a little like stuck until we got to like the very end of the series, because the end of the series did something very, very interesting. I'm not going to say who it is, but there is this actual like villain character, and we find out who that is, and we find out the motivations behind that character. That was a very cool step. Like the very last episode of the series was very, very entertaining. It's just that there's only so much of like the harem nature that I can really personally take, and it just kind of gets almost like annoying. But not. It was never like overwhelming. It's just all these people are falling in love with and want the attention of Katarina, and Katarina is really oblivious. And like that's the joke. And but it was funny at times. It was pretty heartwarming at times. I generally enjoyed this series. Animation wise, it was okay. The backgrounds look a lot more interesting than the main characters a lot of the time. Besides when they're doing like some funny facial reactions and stuff like that. It wasn't anything like too over the top, which I enjoyed. Character designs were okay. Wasn't super into the OP or the ED. They're okay. I like how the OP sort of like mixes it up with like the speed of the song and like the style of the music being played. It'll go into this like it'll be kind of a sort of fast paced, and then it'll go into this like slow sort of like like almost like ballroom. I don't know if I want to say ballroom dance type music. You could tell I don't know my music genres very well. But it'll like go into a sequence where they're like dancing slowly, like you would in like at a noble ball or whatever. Because a lot of the series is like that. So I think it was an entertaining OP. It wasn't something I wanted to listen to over and over again. And season 2 of this series did get announced for next year. The big question is, will I watch season 2? I think I'll check it out. I think if you asked me this like after episode like 7 or something like that, I probably would have said, nah, I'm not really interested in a second season. But the conclusion of this series kind of pushed it further for me and made it generally a lot better. I think that I'm like looking back on this series, I think it's a lot more enjoyable at its conclusion. I think that this might have been a series that some people might have like dropped part of the way through, and I would definitely encourage those people to go back and check out like the later episodes, and then see if this is what you want. Because I think honestly as well, it's, you know, it knows what it is. It's an entertaining show, and it could, if you just watched season one, I don't think you would be necessarily starving for a second season. I think it would be welcome. I think it's something a lot of people probably look forward to, more of this story. I don't think it's that bad of a story. I think that season two is certainly worthy. Will I check it out? I don't know. We'll see down the road. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about Villianess. Thank you, Nia, for her kind donation to recommend this show for me. But yeah, if you've, I'm anime only, so please try to avoid spoilers for this. Are you excited for season 2 of this series? Let me know down below. If you'd also like to be a patron, I'll have a link to that in the description box as well. And if you like what I'm doing here, please consider hitting that subscribe button. But thank you so much for watching. It means a lot to me. My name is Miasma, and I'll see you next time.